Hello and welcome to the Photoshop a Photoshop AutoCAD tutorial. What I'm going to demonstrate here is basically just how to create a section. I'm just going to do a simple road section, and how to take that and export that and actually render it in Photoshop relatively quickly. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to start with just drawing out a road section. I'm just going to make something up, and I'm actually going to have display the right of way and have a building in this as well. So I'm going to go ahead and okay, turn my ortho on. Cool, I can't hear though. Make this, I don't know, 30 feet. Okay. And I'm using Pylon to draw these lines. I'm typing in PL enter. My O snap on so I can snap to my bottom line. Come over. I'm going to make this about, I don't know, 15 feet. So the 15 feet would be the sidewalk, and then I'll make a planter strip of 6 feet. I'm doing these breaks just so I know. You could draw these things tons of different ways. I'm just trying to give myself a break point so I know I'm going to be dimensioning to. So that was 6 feet. I'm going to make a 12-foot lane. Enter. Okay, and I'm going to stop there because I'm just going to use the mirror tool to mirror this once I have it drawn the way I want it to look. Okay. So the way I want to draw this is basically I'm going to offset. So all I did was take an offset my planter strip line. What I'm doing is just basically just showing that there's a difference. There's a transition. We're going from this hardscape here to this landscape here, and I'm gonna flip that. Let me flip that, and I'm just going offsetting through. And delete that one actually, and let me offset the road. And you can you can make anything you want. I'm just doing this so it looks good graphically. So I'll make it offset slightly larger than my sidewalk offset. Okay. Then I'll kill that. Again, I'm using Pylon here, and make sure I close that off. And I didn't start in the layers, and I should have. So let me go ahead and create these layers now. It's a bad habit, so don't copy that part. Make your layers first, just as a habit. So I'm going to call this road section lines. Make it current with Alt C. I'm going to make it red. Create another layer called dimensions, and we make that yellow. Okay. So I'm back to road sections. I'm going to hit Alt C to make it current. Click OK. And let me highlight this stuff and just put it on that layer. So basically I just highlighted all the lines, and I'm going to put it on the road section layer, and you see it's transitioned to road section and everything's turned red. And I'm just going to hatch. Let me do this first. Pile a line. And like I said, there's tons of ways to do this. You can draw your sections. This is just a method that I like. I'm going to offset that second line just a little bit to give it some interest. Okay. And now I'm going to hatch. Well, yeah, let me hatch that. Let me mirror this first. Let me mirror everything. So I typed in mirror, M-I-R-R-O-R. I'm selecting everything. Going to the middle, I'm just dragging it down. I have my ortho on, so it's not going to, if I didn't have my ortho on, then I'm not going to get that exact angle. I'm not going to come down at 90. I'm snapping to 90 now, but you see that you can easily transition past that 90-degree mark. So when you mirror something, make sure that your ortho is on. So I'm just going to ortho it, and it's going to ask me erase source objects, and I'm just going to hit enter because no is already highlighted. And as you can see, my road section has been mirrored. Now I'll go ahead and hatch. So I hit H enter, and it brought me to this hatch and gradient dialog box, and I'm gonna find my solid hatch in here somewhere. There it goes. Click points, so I'm gonna click in here, and click here. Enter. Okay, that looks pretty good. And I'm gonna offset this one a little bit more, just a tad bit more. Okay. So when I offset it, obviously it's broken. Well, let me show you guys that. It's a good point. When you mirror things, it doesn't join them. It just made basically I mirrored it. So you notice when I offset this line over here, this one didn't follow. That's because this is a breakpoint. So I need to either join them before or just make sure that in this case I offset this line as well. So deleting that, zooming back out. Okay, and that's my 30-foot building. I'm gonna make this one a little bit shorter. I don't want that to be 30. I want this one to be 25. Just because. Let me draw a line back, coming back to building time. Okay. Alright. So that's basically my line. Now, so that's my road section basically. Guess I could make it a little bit cooler. You'll notice that typically when you draw a road, you'll have a crown or a sag in the road in order to pitch water. So I'm going to raise this just a smidgen, my road, to kind of depict that that crown. And I actually have to remove my hatch now. You'll see the hatch didn't follow it. That's not a big deal. So I deleted the hatch, and I'm gonna go back and hatch again. So just H enter. Solid, it always defaults to the last hatch that you use, so I use the solid hatch. So I'm just going to pick points again. Alright, sometimes you think it's temperamental, well, because it's open there, so I'll just enter, and hatch that, and I'll close this off so it doesn't yell at me anymore. And H enter for hatch and points, and there that is. Okay. Alright, so there goes my section. Now I'm going to dimension it quickly. Go to dimension just to keep my layer work, to keep my work clean, and I'm going to click on the dimension here on top, and I'm going to click the aligned, and I'm going to click this point to this point and drag down. Now you see that this font is not the nicest font, and I don't like the arrows. You should be using tick marks typically. So it's easy to modify. We're going to modify that dimension by going dimension, format, dimension style, and modify. And you'll see it brings up this dialog box, and you're able basically to change the scale and the text and the line type that you have. You can control how you dimension basically. So I'm going to click on lines, or symbols and arrows rather, and I'm going to select the architectural tick. Okay, and I'm going to increase the arrow size. I think I did this before, so you can play around with the sizes to get an appropriate size for you. I think I'm going to make mine 1. Text, it's standard. It has these text styles, and I won't go into a lot of detail explaining what a text style is, but basically a text style has a font type allocated to it. So I'm going to click here beside the text style, and hopefully it'll bring up a dialog box for me. There it goes. And I'm going to select here Arial. It's typically what I use. Just basic font. And here you could also specify a height, so all your fonts under standard, if you use the standard text style, are going to be the same height and the same font type. I'm not going to worry about that right now because I'm also going to show you another tool called DD Edit, which allows you to edit your dimensions. Okay, so I'm going to click Apply, Close, and OK. And you'll see that it modified that. And obviously didn't modify and you can see why you need to adjust this the font type, or the font height. Okay. Well, also, let me go back to that, because also I don't want to show all those zeros, and you could affect that too. So, format dimension style, modify, do it again. Primary units, and you can select decimal and precision, so I just want it to be there. And let me just go ahead and, just for the sake of doing it, I'll change the font size here. Text height, I'll make that 1 as well. But we're all going to modify it. I just want to see it look kind of silly. So, okay, and then close, and you'll see that it changed the size of it. Now I'm just going to go ahead and continue to dimension. So dimension aligned. Click here at the next point. Make sure you're snapping to the right point, and then drag, and you can actually snap to your other tick mark to make sure that they're even. Alright, so do that again on this side, and back to that. I'll do it again. Here, 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 and that's good enough. Here, here. Okay. Now, I want to get a little bit more specific in here. I don't want us to have. I actually could have modified it so it had to express 15 feet, but I want to actually. I want to list or show what the actual sidewalk and the planter strip and also the road are within the label. Now you're able to do that, or within the dimension, and you're able to do that by typing DD EDIT, enter, and I'm going to select the actual dimension line. You'll see that a text dialog box comes up. Now I'm just going to actually select that and type in 15 foot, and then I'm going to modify the secondary text style, make it just a little bit smaller so that 15 foot's the prominent mark. But I'm going to call this 15 foot sidewalk. Okay. Okay. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to call this one 6 foot and make this 0.75 and planter. Okay. Click here and we'll call it 24 foot. Two-way, oops, 0.75. 0.75. Two-way, oops, there, two-way road, and just repeat it here, and I guess you guys get it at this point. Basically, it just allows you to modify within your dimension lines, but it keeps that rather than having to use a text box, which you could do, but this is just a lot cleaner. It's good to know how to do. Okay, so what is this? This is going to be the planter strip, 6 foot planter. I'm tripping. So this is actually 1, enter, and this is 6 foot, and this is 0.75. And one more time for 15 foot sidewalk. 15 foot. And this is sidewalk. Okay. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy section, pretty easy to do. I'm also going to go ahead and include a right-of-way, and I'm going to call my right-of-way basically from building to building. So there's no setback. Oops. I need to dimension that on. Dimension aligned again, and just clicking on a point. Doesn't matter. Okay. Now, same thing. Just want to bring that down so I don't have that tick mark there. That's what I'm nice and even. Okay. Good. Okay. Now I'm just gonna do the same thing again. DD edit. Well, actually, you see how that's kind of rifting. You see that? That means it's not straight. So let me just run it from the bottom, and I'll show you another tool. I guess another thing you can do. You can explode most things in AutoCAD. So I'm going to put that here, and I'm going to go ahead and DD edit it before I explode it. Here, so it's a 66 foot right of way. Okay. I can leave it like that. That text probably wouldn't show up too bad. Probably I could change actually the line type of the building and make it thicker. Wouldn't matter. But I'm going to explode this, and I'm going to do that by clicking on this and hitting X, Enter. It explodes the line. It makes these things individual components, so I can just click on those and delete them. Like I said, it wouldn't really matter, but just to show you guys that you can explode these things as well. Another thing you can do with dimensions, and I've been actually deleting it, so I'm telling it exactly what to say within the dimension space, but you can use DD edit and maintain the actual dimension and just add text to it. Okay, so I'm going to put 66 foot right of way, right? And you're like, well, how's that any different? And it's different because this one I actually deleted the text, right? And these all the ones I made before, I deleted the text. This one, if I extend the dimension line, you'll see that it'll change with it, but the right of way text stays with it. So you can see why that's pretty important, pretty powerful. And actually, I should have done that with all these. That way, if you had to modify it, if you just extend it, you always know that your dimension is still working, and then you just added that text component to it. So that's actually the better way to do it, not to delete your text in the dimension line in the first place. But I just wanted to show you guys that. Okay, so basically this is going to be our section that we're going to render in Photoshop. So you see how easy that was to put together, and you guys can fly through these things. These little quick sections just to pop up how something's going to look, especially for roadways. This is just a really quick way of doing this stuff. I'm going to go ahead and change these. I know I made them red, but I'm going to go ahead and change the building to, I don't know, blue. I'm using pen settings, my LDIs that I gave you guys, LDI 2007. And you remember that the pen settings, red is going to be the thinnest line, and white's going to be the thickest. So just keep that in mind. Then I'm going to go ahead and make these blue. I'm actually going to make that, I want that to be thicker too. Let me make that green, and let me make this guy yellow. Okay, remember, because I didn't join them, make sure you do it to both sides. Okay, so that's cool. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go to I don't need to. You can do it two ways. I'm in model space now, and that's where you should do all your design work at. You could either go to layout, and I'll show you that. File, page setup manager, modify, assign your pen settings. If you guys don't see this, there's there'll be a little box here, a little arrow. You click on that, and it'll show you this portion, this partition of this dialog box. So I'm picking my LDI 2007. I'm going to print the PDF, and you guys can use a PDF Creator or Adobe PDF, or you might have DWG to PDF, but it's the same thing, same function. That's fine. Okay, I'm just doing the setup here. I'll just bring this out, basically like that. Alright, now you can do these things to scale if you wanted to. For this particular tutorial, I'm not going to do all that. I don't think we need to scale this because it's already dimensioned anyway. It's just more something that's pictorial, illustrative, to show them what you want to do. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit Control P and click OK. That should print this PDF out for me. Now, if I wanted to, I can turn these layers off, but like the dimension lines, and take them off and turn them on. But I've practiced this already for this tutorial, so I know I don't need to. But it's always a good you need to get in the habit of creating layers when you do drawings, because it enables you to turn things on and off, and when you need to turn something off, you'll be able to, and not have everything on the same layer. And it also helps reinforce the CAD mentality, or Photoshop, because in Photoshop you build in layers, you design in layers, and you definitely need to use layers in Photoshop because you'll want to turn things on and off, and I guarantee. And you don't want to ruin your drawing by having everything on one layer. Then you can't take steps back like you can in AutoCAD. Okay, so I'm gonna call this. I'm just gonna save, and I'm gonna put it on my Photoshop demonstration PDF. Yeah, call it drawing. That's fine. You can call it whatever you want. So it'll basically plot this thing out. And it'll pop up here in a second. Okay, there you go. Now I'm gonna go ahead and close this my AutoCAD now. I don't think we're gonna need it. And I'm gonna go into Photoshop. So I'm double click on Photoshop. Now I'm not sure what version you all are using. I'm using CS2. Some of the user interface might be a little different. I know it is in CS4, but it's all the same commands, and at least if you're in Windows compared to Mac. So I'm not sure what user. I guess I'll find out tomorrow actually. But either way, the same functions commands can be found. You can navigate it, and you'll find it. And if you're having problems, if you're using CS4, then I'll find out exactly how to do it in CS4. Maybe make a record a tutorial actually doing it in CS4 on my Macintosh. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm in Photoshop. I'm going to go open, and I'm going to navigate to the file that I saved the PDF in, and it's on my desktop, and I called it Photoshop Demonstration 3. And one thing that I do, you'll notice, well, hopefully you'll notice it throughout these tutorials that I make, when I have a file or a project, I'll have a project file, and within that project file I'll begin to break down several subfolders. I always have a DWG folder, which is your AutoCAD files. I have an image library for images that are pertaining to the project, like site photography, or just images I pulled off the net, or anything that I can use for boards. I'll have a JPEGs file for finished JPEG images, in which I keep separate from my image library. I'll have PDFs for obvious reasons. We just provide PDFs, and I'll have PSDs, which are my Photoshop files. And if I'm doing something in AI, AI being Adobe Illustrator, then I'll have that as well. But I typically don't do a lot of that. But Illustrator is great for doing diagrams. Okay, but anyway, I'm digressing. Okay, so I'm gonna click on the drawing, the PDF. I'm gonna make your resolution at least 200. Go ahead and make it 200. I don't want it to be too big. And you see that with mine, I'm gonna have to change the orientation of it. So I'm just gonna do image, rotate canvas counterclockwise, and you'll see that your lines are there, and you have a transparent background. You'll see over here I have my layers up, and if you don't see your layers, it's under your windows, and you can click on these things. I'll turn it off and turn it back on. Layers, okay. I'm going to create a new layer. See that tab? If you hold it over, you'll say create new layer. I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to double click on it, and I'm going to call this layer background, so I can see. And I'm going to come over here to this toolbar. You'll need this. I'm not sure which one this is. I think it's tools. It's a default. You'll use this all the time. You'll see that you have these two colors, swatches basically. The top one represents the foreground color, and the bottom one represents the background color. I'm just going to hit this little trigger. If you hit it, it switches the foreground to the background and background to the foreground. I want to use white. Now you see this gradient tool. The gradient tool holds the paint bucket brush, and I don't know why they do that, but that's not very intuitive. But it's the gradient tool and paint bucket tool. I want the paint bucket tool. The paint bucket tool basically just spills color and everything, right? So I just selected my paint bucket tool and clicked it, and I have a white background. Now you'll see that, now I talked about everything being in layers. This background's above the line, so that's why you can't see the line. So I'm just going to click on that layer and hold it and drag it below my lines, and there you go. So you see what we have, a nice little clean, quick section. Alright, I'm going to actually double click on this to call it lines. Now here's the fun, cool part that you guys are going to trip off of initially, and then it'll be like second nature, and you'll just do it. But This is really cool because when we're doing this, we're doing it by hand. I think it's very important to draw. I'm going to stress that as I show you guys this. But this is a really quick way of creating highly effective graphics, especially for those of us who are less artistically inclined. It's a really good way of conveying a thought or idea, which is what we do. That's the whole point of this. Okay. So I'm going to go File, Open. And I have an image library that I have also downloaded to your computers. So you have the same thing I have pretty much. And it's just a lot of high quality images. So this is my trees and shrubs basically, and I'll get some more as I can. But if you guys find these things, or if anybody knows anybody who has them, bring them to the school and just upload them to the library so everybody can use them. I mean, they're just really invaluable. Okay, so I'm going to click this Shumardoke, and I'm going to click Open. Alright, so now you'll see that I have a transparent background, which is makes it really convenient for me just to grab it and drop it. Alright, so I minimized it. I'm going to scoot it over. I'm going to click on my Move tool here, come over back over this layer, click on it and hold, and I'm just going to drag it to my other drawing. I have it, so I don't need this anymore, so I'm going to close that guy out. Okay, so you see this guy kind of floating around. You see it create, when you brought it over, it automatically made it into a layer. I'm just going to name that layer now. And I'm going to get some more stuff. I think I have under annuals. No, this is on the trees. I don't have a lot of shrubs and stuff here. I need to get some more shrubs. So, like I said, if anybody knows anybody, get it. Okay, so I'm going to click on this. Now, in this particular image that I have, it's a black background. I'm going to show you a quick tool. It's very powerful that you'll use all the time to get rid of all that black. Oh, yeah, I should have. I don't know if I can step back. I can't. Let me close it and show you guys that. Where are you at? Okay, so I'm going to click on this, Open. Now, what I want to show you is when I open this one, you see that it has background and a lock on it, right? I want to double click on that to make it into a layer first. If I don't, then when I delete this black with this command, it would still have a white or black background, depending on what the foreground color is here. And I want it to be transparent because I want to use it in my image, right? So you have to make it into a layer just by double clicking on it and just calling it a layer. Now this is a tool that's very, very useful. It's called Color Range. So I'm going to go to Select option, go to Color Range, use my eyedropper, click the black, whatever color you want in your drawing, click OK, and all the black or all of that color, whatever color you selected, will be highlighted automatically. And I'm going to press Delete on mine, and I'm going to delete all that black. And you see how quick that was to do. So, and I'm going to hit Control D to deselect. That's huge. That Control D thing I just told you guys. I didn't know that for a very long time, but it makes a huge difference. If you have something selected and you want to deselect it and Escape doesn't work, hit Control D and it'll deselect whatever you have selected or highlighted. Same process. I have my Move tool, right, and I'm gonna click on it on this image, hold it, and just drag it over. And I don't need this guy anymore either. No. Okay. Now you see this thing is huge. You're like, well, that's crazy. You can't use that. And we're not going to, of course. So it's kind of floating in here, right? In order to manipulate things, and you use this as another command you're going to use all the time. It's called Transform, and I'm going to use you can do it by either going to Edit, Transform, or Free Transform. Free Transform is what we're going to use. I just do Control T. When I do that, you see this box appears, right? I'm going to go into the corner. I'm going to hold Shift to keep the scaling proportionate, and just like other programs, you just bring it down and just scale this thing. Alright, just scaling it down, shrinking it all the way down. Make it smaller. Alright. And to zoom in, you can use the magnifying glass, or just hold Control and hit plus. And to zoom out, Control minus. Right? Now I'm on that layer still. double click on it and call it shrub. So I got these shrubs here that we go on my planter. Got my street tree now. I haven't scaled that yet, so that's still a little bit big. I'm going to Control T for that. Hold your shift for that corner. And I know that building's about 30 feet, right? So I'm going to make my tree about 30 feet, about the same height as that building. Yeah, it looks good. Okay. Just kind of move it over, and you can see how quickly we're beginning to assemble and how, this section, how good that kind of looks already. And if you don't believe yet, you will soon. So hold on. So I went back to shrub, and I'm just going to move that down, get on that black. Alright, and now I'm going to copy these things. Now, there's different ways to copy. Let me show you this first. All I'm going to do is I'm on my move tool. I'm going to hold Alt, press Alt, hold it, and you see the cursor changes there, right? And I'm just going to drag it over. See that? And that's creating a copy. And you see on the right hand side it created shrub copy here. And I'm going to do it again to come over and put it in front. There you go. So I have 3 shrubs now. That's one way of copying. I'm going to merge these two when I'm all done. Merge is when you just basically you take one layer and push it or combine it with another one, or as many as you want, so they're one layer. So for instance, if I click on this layer here and hit Control E, Control E, you see that it jumped up into it. So now there's just 2. So if we turn that one on, you'll see that I have 2 that are free floating now, that are joined. I always like to leave one thing open and not merge everything. That way I have the opportunity to change things if I need to. Okay. So anyway, there's that 3rd shrub. I'm going to show another way to copy. I'm going to click on that 3rd shrub layer, the one that is by itself. This time I'm going to select it. I'm going to use this marquee tool to pull over it. And I'm going to go back to the move tool. And same thing, hold Alt and pull it over. The difference is when you select something first, it doesn't create a new layer. It just keeps that copy on that same layer. So you don't just keep on dropping layer after layer after layer. So that's why I did that. I'm going to Control Z that. Control Alt Z. Control Z goes back once. Control Alt Z goes back the further step. Now, unlike AutoCAD, like I was saying earlier, Photoshop it does not have an infinite amount of Control Z's or go backs edits. So constantly save your work and use a lot of layers. So I'm going to turn this stuff back on. I'm going to merge these just because I know that I'm not going to make any changes for this particular exercise. But if I was doing something more complicated, I wouldn't do this. Okay, and I'm just going to copy this over using the Alt, and bam. Okay. So now these 2 sets of shrubs. I'm going to click on that tree. I'm going to highlight this guy. And Alt, and if you hold Shift, it keeps it straight again. Like we held the Shift to keep the scale proportionate. If you hold Shift, you'll find that you can only go 90, these straight up and down. You can't go at any, well, because you can, but it'll snap to a 90-degree angle, which is nice. Okay, there you go. Control D to let it go. There you go. So I already have that. That looks pretty good to me so far. Let me save this. Always do a save as. Okay. So on my data, save it somewhere. Make sure you have your file. PSD. I'm gonna call it drawn too. It's just fun. Okay. Bringing in some people. I'm gonna go back to the image library, and like I said, this image library is what you guys have on your share drive somewhere. I think it's just straight on the share drive, and I called it image library, but it's on there. There you go. People. And there's tons of them. We've got a lot of cool imagery of people, so you guys should be straight with that. Okay, I'll use him. Okay. And same thing on my move tool. Just drag them over. And you see just how powerful this can be. I mean, and you build perspectives and stuff in a very similar fashion, just dropping and putting in these objects. So it becomes more like a collage than actually obviously hand rendering. So it's just a very, very powerful tool. Okay, look at this dude. Doesn't look very happy, does he? Alright, pull him over. Close it out. See if we can't find a female, put in here. Girl slush. Well, why not? Let's choose her too. I'm like, she's hating on somebody. Alright, close that. Now you see I didn't have to crop those people because those particular images were already cropped. And when I brought them over as individual layers, but they're huge still. But you know that's not an issue because we can scale them. So I'm going to go ahead and scale this girl first. The girl. Yeah. Control T. Grab that point, hold shift, and just drag it down and make her small. Make her smaller. And I haven't hit enter or anything yet, so I'm just kind of dragging over to get it, kind of figure out what she needs to be. I'm going to control plus to zoom in. Now, I'm going to use some of these things as markers, you know. I know that that's a 6-foot planter strip, and I'm not going to make her that tall, so she needs to be smaller. Alright. She's still a big girl. I'll make her a little bit smaller. Oh, we're getting there. Okay. Man one. Control T him. Knock this joker down too. Looks about right. Okay. And last guy. Man two. I'm gonna control T this guy. And you see this thing goes pretty fast, and once you guys get a rhythm of this, it'll fly through this stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna shrink him still. That looks about right. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna put him on the other side for now. Okay. Those shrubs look kind of big to me, so I'm gonna go over here and select the shrub copy and shrub, and I'm doing that by clicking one and holding the shift to click the other layer, and I'm gonna control T, and I'm just gonna make them a little smaller. Yeah, looks better. And I'm gonna move that one like that, and move this one over. And I got the move tool. Now you can use your arrow too, the arrow keys, to move things over. Okay, so yeah, we're starting to build that, and control S to save. And I'm gonna put my lines. I'm gonna make my lines and put them up front so they're the dominant thing, so nothing, they won't be hiding behind anything. So I just pull them on top, so they're sitting on top of all this stuff. I like to begin to organize this stuff too. So there's a icon here called creating a group. So I'm going to double click on that, call this one people, and I'm going to move my people into that people group. See? And I'm going to call this one plant material. And I'm going to click on this stuff and drag it up just to keep things organized. Next, I want to put a sky in the background. There's different ways of doing skies. You can build your own. I'm going to show you this kind of cool technique, I think, that you can use for, so you can be even more lazy and not have to create your own sky. And it truly becomes like a collage. So I'm going to go back to my desktop. I know, and I pre-saved. Now I got these images offline, and you can get them yourself. Just Google, skies. And go and click on images, and you'll just have a plethora of options. So Photoshop demonstration 3 JPEGs. Okay, so I'm gonna use this guy. I like that sky. I don't want that right there though, and I don't want that right there. Okay. Now I'm going to minimize this, and the same thing I've been doing with everything else. I'm just going to grab the move tool, click on it, hold it, pull it right over. And I'm just gonna, nope. Okay, and it's the same thing that's been going on with other stuff. You know, it's a little big. It's not that bad though. No, it's not that bad actually. Okay. I like that. It's fine. Okay, now I'm going to begin to trim this thing out. This guy. I'm going to use this black tool, just to this kind of marquee, black marquee. And I'm going to create that. I'm just going to drag it down to that black. You can zoom in with this too to make this more accurate. Now when I'm moving this, I'm clicking inside of it. Now, I didn't use the move tool to move this thing. I'm still on the marquee tool to move. And I'm just gonna hit delete because I'm on the sky layer, so I'm deleting. Delete that out. Delete. And the same thing here. Looks right to me. Delete. Okay, so now you see the sky's beginning to get framed, and we're gonna make that look a little bit better. I'm just gonna take the there's a couple things we can do, but the first thing I'm gonna blend that out, so I'm gonna fade that back, and I'm gonna do that with the erase tool. So if I go back over here and click on the erase, and you see these brushes up here, I'm gonna click on that down arrow, and I'm gonna go to one of these kind of fuzzy looking brushes and hit enter. I'm going to increase the brush size, and you can do that by clicking here and increasing the master diameter, or you can just hit there's brackets right beside on my keyboard. There's P and there's these brackets. The left bracket makes things smaller, and the right one makes them larger. Right, so I'm gonna make it larger, and I'm gonna kind of just begin to touch this thing and fade it out. You can see how it's beginning to fade. Yeah, see that? I'm just going to kind of blend it in. So that line's not so hard. Yeah. It looks much softer. Something is starting to look like something. I'm going to tone this guy down a little bit. I'm going to hit Control L for levels. And with Control L, you can make things lighter and darker. So I'm still on my sky layer. So if I go towards the dark end, it's going to make it lighter. And if I go to the white end, it's going to make it darker. Alright, so let's mess with this a little bit. And also, you can play with the opacity of things. I'm on sky, click here, and if I reduce the opacity, then obviously it gets lighter. Kind of cool. So, and you could always play with these things. You know, you have a lot of options to do this stuff. But you can begin to see how we're quickly beginning to build this this section. You can add cool other things in there too. And this is another cool one. I'll do them last. This is a really cool thing for cars. I just found these online. I haven't downloaded a vehicle image library yet. I need to do that, but I got this image online. I'm gonna double click in here, right? Remember I told you about that because I had the background layer on. And I'm going to begin to delete everything around this Jeep. So I'm going to try to do the select color range and see what happens. I'm going to click the white, click OK, and I'm going to hit delete. You see that part disappeared pretty well for me. That's pretty easy. Select color range again. And try to click that gray. It's taken away, so I don't want to delete anything in the car. So I'll do the old-fashioned way. I'm just gonna click on the eraser tool. See, I don't want it to blur now, so I'm gonna click here and make this thing bigger and begin to delete the stuff around it. That tire will be alright. This doesn't want to be there. Now you can begin to zoom in to get closer to this stuff. And actually, I'm gonna use the magic wand now to kind of, not the magic wand, but the I guess I could use magic wand. Yeah. See, the magic wand selects different areas of things too, so it just kind of selects. So I'm gonna do that. If the color's really close, then it'll do the same like the color range, and it'll go into an area you don't want it to go into. But you can adjust the tolerance here. Don't give you guys too much. Yeah. So you can go ahead and erase that stuff. And really, a lot of this stuff, if you have libraries, you won't even have to do this prepping for these images. But this just shows you that you can pull images offline and add them to your drawings as well. So I'm going to hold Shift to keep it kind of perpendicular and straight and come over. And actually, I don't want to. And this is, I'm doing this with a mouse, and it'll come with practice, some of the kind of the dexterity. But I've been meaning to experiment with a pen and stylus, and that'd be really cool. I think that's kind of the future of illustrative design. Okay, kind of integration. All right, well that's good enough. Okay, that's good enough. So I'm gonna take that carve that I've cleaned up around, and I'm going to drag that thing over. Actually, I'm going to close this guy out. I'm going to save this one. Yes. And there's a JPEG. Oh, never mind. No. Okay. So I have this vehicle in here, and it's the same thing. And I'm going to Control T, shrink this guy down. That looks about right. There you go. So there goes the first car. And I got one more. So I have one facing and then one going. This guy will be easier to delete, be faster with it this time. So I'm going to double click here, make it a layer. Delete that. Okay, I think this is a good way to show you tolerance. You see that tolerance is 32. Forget which way is what. But if I have 5, if you put on 5, then it reduces the tolerance. So if I have, you see, I'm selecting now, it's like these small portions of stuff, right? Now, if I changed it to 35 or 50, say 50, and I click again, you'll notice that it selects a whole, a much larger area. It's not as color sensitive, so I'm going to go back to 5 and try to piece this thing apart a little bit. Give myself a break. Yeah. Gotta delete this thing bit by bit. Anything that works, I'm going to crop some of this stuff out. I don't need all that. And I'm going to delete this thing too. Let me try my color range. pause this. This is might take a hot second. Well, I mean, it goes pretty quickly, but you need to make it look good. You need to zoom in. So let me pause this and turn it right back, and it'll be magic. Okay, so I've cleaned that car up and brought it into my other drawing, and you see I'm here now. So I'm going to drop it in, and I've called him going. Guess I should have called him coming. Alright, so now I have my cars in there. You can see this thing is building pretty quickly, and it looks really good. I mean, this is really fast. I didn't render it, and I can make these and the thing about this, I can make changes very quickly. You still need to know how to draw. I'm not saying that you certainly need to know how to draw as a landscape architect, but this stuff is very powerful as well. You need to know this too, I think. So yeah, that's about done. I'm going to show you another thing that you can do. Just little touches to kind of set these things off. And show you how you can borrow things from images. Like I got this image online somewhere because I wanted something with birds in it, right? So now I'm going to go select color range, and I'm going to get the black because those birds are really standing out in that sky, and it's selected it for me, right? I'm going to double click here. I'm actually going to make another layer, and I'm going to go edit fill. You'll see it brings up this fill dialog box, and it says use foreground color. Like I explained before, this is the foreground color and that's the background color. So that's the foreground color, that's the one that's fine. Well, actually, let me change that. Let me flip it. Let me use background because I want the white. And I'm going to click OK. And you see that the white pops over in that layer based on that shape. So I basically created these birds, right? So I'm going to minimize this and move tool again, the magic move tool, pull these things over, and now you even have birds in your scene. So you can see how it's very powerful, and you can even borrow images and imagery from other photographs and just to kind of add touches to yours. And it's very much like a paper mache type or a collage rather type technique, but you can see it's very, very powerful. Let me close that out. And so now you even have these flock of birds kind of in your drawing, and you can adjust them as well. Make them less prominent. Control T. Shrink them out, but they're still there. And you can play with the sky some more. The sky's a little loud to me still. Yeah, well, and there you have it. It's a very quick section, or relatively quick, I guess. And the more you practice this, the faster you get. And obviously, I'm going a little bit slower because I'm trying to take my time and kind of walk you through the steps. Yeah, so this is basically just how to create quick sections and using Photoshop and Auto CAD. And like I said, the same techniques are basically applied to perspective drawings and any other rendering that you want to use. You're just pulling objects or creating objects and using them over and over again in your drawing, as opposed to having to hand render things. And like I said, the power of this is that now, I can just take things off if I want. Say I don't want to show cars. Say the client says I don't want to see anything coming. Just how does that road section look like without any vehicles in it? You say, hey, no problem. Let me just go ahead and click these things off and print you a PDF and send it to you, or plot it out and show it in imagery. And on the resolution of these things, on these images are pretty high. So you can print these things off at decent sizes and not be pixelated, as long as you're working at a 200 to 300 scale resolution in your drawing, and they'll look good plotted out as well. So they're just really a really good tool to use to create what you need to create. So I hope this was helpful. Again, this is all this stuff. If you have questions about it, you can always ask me. Email me. My email address is w.chris.harrison@gmail.com, and hopefully I can answer your question. Also, use Google. Google is a great resource, and that's how I learned the majority of what I know in Photoshop and really all the programs, is that I've just jumped on the internet and asked a question. So yeah, don't be scared to use that resource. Alright, so I hope this is helpful.